Okay, we're going to do a little bit of family history here. Now, this was my grandmother's quilt, Margaret Mason. Her great-grandmother made
Ashley, hurry up. Oh, sorry.
So this was actually my great-great-grandmother, if I remember, if I got them all, mother made this quilt. Her name was, it's like Cynthia with an A, Athea Lewis was her name. And that was her married name. And this quilt was made in about 1860. Wow. That's the date. And my mother made the mistake of washing it. It was in pretty good shape until she washed it. And then you can see it's falling apart. Now there are two names for this quilt. One of them is Jacob's Ladder, and you can see this is kind of like a ladder, kind of like the steps of a ladder. And Jacob's Ladder is a story in the Bible about being able to, Jacob seeing the angels going up and down from heaven. And they use this ladder. Another name for it is train tracks. And it kind of looks like train tracks too. If you look at it, it kind of looks like train tracks. Okay? Now, this right here is one of the types of patterns that they use for the Underground Railroad. And if you don't know what the Underground Railroad was, a lot of years ago, before the Civil War, we had slavery in this country. And the slaves would run away, and they had people who would help them. And they had certain quilts that people would put out on their lines, their laundry lines, clotheslines, and that would be a signal that you could find safety in this place. So what they would do is they would look for a quilt like this, and they'd go, oh, and they would go in, and people would, the people who owned the home would hide them, they'd feed them, they'd give them clothes and whatever. And so then the next morning, or actually during the day, they would sleep, and then the next night they would leave and go further on up. And they were trying to escape the South, going to the North. So they're trying to get freedom. Just like refugees do today. You've seen on television how refugees, they leave a country and they're trying to get to another country, you know, for safety. Well, they were doing the same thing, only it was here in the United States. And the black people, who were the slaves, were trying to get to freedom. Not all of them, but many of them did. So this quilt, and I don't know for sure, but could very well have been a quilt that was on a clothesline that was indicating to people who were trying to leave slavery and getting safety in the North. Could have been on a clothesline and actually been, you know, a signal for people to that they could find safety in that particular home. Because not everybody, because if they got caught, they would be sent back to their owners and badly whipped, beaten, and some of them probably wouldn't have lived. Okay, so this quilt is about 150 years old, and this pink, it looks pink now, but this would have been bright red originally. It's faded. This would have been bright red. It's faded, but that's what the original color was. And several years ago, I decided, because this one was falling apart, I decided to make a replica of the quilt. And of course, you just can't find the exact same fabric, but I tried. And I got a lot of this together. And then my mother finished it. Okay, so as you can see, this is a pretty good replica of the quilt. And so this is, you know, this is one of the things we did. And as I say, Mom did it. Now, we did not put red on the back. That was a bit much, okay? So it's just got the plain color on the back. But there again, you can really see how this could look like either a ladder or the train tracks. And so, but the Jacob's Ladder or the train tracks are the two names for this quilt. And I have been praying about what to do with these quilts because, I mean, I've got a lot of stuff. And I felt impressed that since Ben the third and Ben the fourth were the namesakes in the family, that it should go to you two. So it goes to you, but you too. Okay? So 3 and 4, this is for you all.
What day of number?
And as I say, it's not the original, but it certainly is a replication. Pretty good replication of the original. My hope, I'm going to keep this, I'm keeping this, okay?
I don't blame
You all can, anybody can fight over
It's
it when I'm
amazing the
gone.
condition of it.
What I'd like to do is I'd like to take this and eventually get some boxes and try to cut out one frame, even though some of it's very badly, and then give it to, every member of the family, so that they could all have a bit of the history, because as I say, it's over 150 years old. So, but that's as much as I know about it. I can't say for sure it ever hung on a clothesline to say this was a safe haven for slaves, but that's all I can tell.